Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 edition of Douglas Now Live. I think that we could probably call today's stream the South Georgia State College edition. We have four stories that we're going to talk about. Three of those stories deal with South Georgia State College. First of all, and we did a video on this and a story over the weekend, but it bears mentioning one more time. The South Georgia State College Hawks are the 2025 GCAA soccer champions. Now, the GCAA is the Georgia Collegiate Athletic Association. That is the conference in which all of South Georgia State College's teams play. And the conference championship is a de facto state championship, or if you want to say that the state championship is a de facto conference championship, however you would like to describe that, because all the teams in the GCAA are, in fact, from Georgia. So, again, it's both a conference championship and a state championship. Saturday afternoon, beginning at noon, the Hawks played the Gordon State College Highlanders. Gordon State is out of Barnesville up in the Macon area. The Hawks led 4-1 at halftime and then did score one second half goal to win fairly easily 5-1. Nandy Carpenter scored 3 goals and Andrea Kova scored 2. I believe one of Kova's goals was on a penalty kick as well. This is a big deal. All right. This is a big deal. Championships are big. And I would love for us to make a bigger deal out of these types of things. This is the second week in a row that we've had a state/conference championship in Coffee County. If you remember, the week before, the CCA Lady Patriots softball team won its second consecutive state championship, Class A state title, won that over in Augusta. And then a week later, the Hawks are playing for a championship here in Douglas. That doesn't happen very often. We've had a few teams win championships over the years, but it doesn't happen very much that we get to play for a state title and win a state title here in Douglas. And that happened on Saturday, and it was a lot of fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to cover these young ladies, to be a little bit a part of it as we went through the season. Next up for the Hawks, this is not the end of the road. They have the district tournament that they play in South Carolina beginning on Friday. It's a single elimination tournament, so if they win on Friday, they would in turn play the Daytona State College Falcons, which the Hawks played back in early October. The first weekend of this month, they went down to Daytona State and played them down there. They are the number one team in the country, defending national champions and the current number one team. So if the Hawks survive on Friday, it will be a very difficult task, a very difficult undertaking on Sunday as they play the Falcons. However, when they did play Daytona State, they went down there for homecoming, and the Falcons scheduled the Hawks, a battle of birds of prey, if you will. But the Falcons scheduled the Hawks as homecoming fodder. They were supposed to go down there and just get absolutely drubbed during the homecoming festivities, and that did not happen. Yes, Daytona State won. They won 2-0, scored a goal late in the first half, and then scored a second goal late in the second half. But the Hawks did a really good job of keeping them under control, played really good defense, and our keeper, I think, had 17 or 18 saves or something that game. It was a pretty solid performance, and several of the girls said that game was the turning point for them. We had a good season up until then. We were number one in the conference. But once we played Daytona State and we were able to keep them in check and not get beaten by a runaway margin, that let the girls know, listen, we can compete with the best teams in the country, and we really got a chance to do something special here. So that game was a turning point, and who knows what happens in the rematch. Who knows, if we get to that point, what is going to take place. So again, congratulations to the South Georgia State College Hawks, to head coach Lisa Gonzalez. That's Coach Gonzalez right here. She is the GCAA's soccer coach of the year. And then where is right here Bailey Maroney? I had to get the glare off of the picture. Bailey Maroney right here, number 8, was the conference's player of the year as well. And you can see Coach Gonzalez here. When she took her picture, she tried to hide the Coach of the Year plaque, but it's sitting right here. So Coach of the Year, Player of the Year. Big year for South Georgia State College soccer. Big year for athletics in Douglas and Coffee County. Congratulations to the Hawks. Our only non-South Georgia State College story of the day, and this has generated a lively discussion on the DouglasNow.com Facebook page. Halloween this year. Halloween. October 31st is on Friday. Halloween is on Friday. I love our folks at the city. I love everybody, city government, city commission, all of our city departments. They're wonderful folks. Have a very good relationship with them. But the city has issued a decree that trick-or-treating inside the city limits will be observed on Thursday, October 30th, instead of Friday, October 31st. Now, no one is saying that it's because of the football game between the Coffee Trojans and the Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets, but that is what people are inferring. And there are actually 2 football games going on Friday night. You have the Trojans versus the Yellow Jackets at Jardine Stadium, but you also have the CCA Patriots playing the first playoff game in their program history here in Douglas. So not only is it the first game, it is also the first home playoff game that is taking place on Friday night as well. So you have not 1 but 2 football games going on in Coffee County on Friday night. And I still say that you should be trick-or-treating on Friday. Halloween is the 31st of October, whether it falls on a Monday or a Wednesday or a Friday or any other day of the week. I don't like this decision. I don't think that it's something the city should be concerning itself with. I know they're going to cite safety and weekend traffic and those types of issues, but still, trick-or-treating is October 31st. Now, this is not a law. You're not going to get a ticket. You're not going to get in trouble if you trick-or-treat on October 31st. And I know other communities have done this as well. I don't agree with it in other communities. I don't agree with it here. I just don't think this is something the city should be concerning itself with. We have a lot of more pressing issues to deal with than when kids trick-or-treat. All right. And what I'm hearing from people in the county, particularly in those neighborhoods in the county, that they will be trick-or-treating on Friday night. You know, in life, we have to make choices. We have to make choices. Are we going to go to a football game or are we going to go trick-or-treating? All right. Choice you got to make. You can actually do both because it gets dark earlier and people start trick-or-treating around 6 o'clock. And I believe the time changes this weekend. I think the time changes this weekend. So it's going to get darker anyway in the next few days, but it's already getting darker. We can tell that, getting darker earlier. So you could theoretically go trick-or-treat for a little while and then still go to the football game, even if you were a couple of minutes late to the game. So anyway, I don't like this decision. I don't like this discussion. I don't like that we're put in this situation. I don't think it's something, I think it's getting a little bit outside, I think, of the city's lane. Now, a lot of people disagree with me on this, and I understand, and I don't want to argue and debate it. I'm just giving you my opinion here. I give you a little bit of fact. All right, since we are a news show, the city would like for people to trick-or-treat inside the city limits on Thursday, October 30th. All right, my opinion is I don't like it. I don't think that's a good idea. Trick-or-treating should be done on October 31st, which is Halloween, regardless of the day of the week. This year, it's on a Friday. If you want to trick-or-treat, no matter where you live, trick-or-treat on Friday. More South Georgia State College news. This is also kind of a big deal. I would like for people to embrace this. I would like for people to take part in this discussion. On Thursday, there is a book signing and a book discussion at South Georgia State College in Ingram Hall. That's the big student union building there. If you turn off of 441 there or off Peterson Avenue, I guess, near the Dairy Queen, go in the main entrance after you go through the four-way stop. It's the first building there. There on the right. Authors Ann Luttrell, Miss Luttrell, and Charles Seabrook, Mr. Seabrook, will be in Douglas again on Thursday night to talk about their book, 35 Natural Wonders of Georgia to See Before You Die. Now, Latrell, as I understand it, is primarily the illustrator. She's an artist, whereas Mr. Seabrook is the writer who did most of the actual wordsmithing of the book. Now, Miss Latrell is a renowned botanical and wildlife artist whose works have been widely published in a variety of mediums. Mr. Seabrook is a retired Atlanta Journal-Constitution science and environmental writer who still writes a weekly freelance column in the living section of the AJC. This is a fascinating book that brings to life the beauty of Georgia's natural environment. It includes several sites that are very close to Coffee County, many of which you may have seen. It includes the Okefenokee Swamp, the Broxton Rocks, the Altamaha River, as well as the Little Grand Canyon, Brasstown Bald, and a number of others. There are a couple of sites also over near the coast as well. As I was looking through the list, I realized that I had seen several of these that I didn't realize they were as important or as significant as they are. But this discussion will take place at Ingram Hall on the campus of South Georgia State College at 7 p.m. on Thursday. I don't imagine most of the people who would be interested in taking part in this discussion, in this event, will be trick-or-treating, but I could be wrong. So another reason to trick-or-treat on Friday night and not Thursday, so it will not interfere with the book discussion. Nobody asked about the book discussion. I don't think the city, are we having a book discussion on Thursday night? Do we need to be trick-or-treating when we've got something like this going on? Anyway, I don't think most folks are going to have to make a decision whether they're going to trick-or-treat or go to the book discussion. But if you would like to go trick-or-treating and can't make the book discussion, but still want to hear Miss Latrell and Mr. Seabrook, they will be speaking at the Douglas Rotary Club meeting Thursday at noon, which is in the dining hall on the campus of South Georgia State College. So again, South Georgia State will be the hub, the literary hub of Coffee County on Thursday. But this is a really neat book, and there are a lot of things on here that you may not realize are as special or as significant ecologically as they are. But when we tend to think of major sites, of major formations and natural history sites, we tend to think of the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone or Mount Rushmore, places like that. But we have some world-class geological and environmental ecosystems here in our state, and they are worth seeing. And this is a really neat book that highlights what we have here in Georgia. Again, some of which are in Coffee County, very close to Coffee County. Some you may have seen and didn't realize the significance of what you were seeing. So hopefully, if you are so inclined, you could go learn a little bit more about how significant these are and how even in our little area of South Georgia, we have some very, very important ecological sites, some that are on par with some of the most significant in the world. So that's a big deal. Thursday night, South Georgia State College, Ingram Hall, 7 p.m. If you can't make that, at the Douglas Rotary Club meeting Thursday at noon on the campus, also on the campus of South Georgia State College in the dining hall. This morning, this is hot off the presses. Again, I told you we had three of our four stories today deal with South Georgia State College. University System of Georgia Chancellor Sonny Perdue, that would be the chancellor right here, and former governor and former Secretary of Agriculture under President Trump in his first administration, and again, current University System of Georgia Chancellor, came to Douglas today, is actually here right now. There's another meeting going on the campus of South Georgia State College with faculty and staff that the chancellor is presiding over. This morning at 9 a.m., the chancellor met with members of the community to talk about the college, and in short, and it was a pretty, I don't know if harsh is the right word, but blunt discussion about what we need to do to boost enrollment as a community at the college. And we do stories all the time about the economic impact that South Georgia State College makes on Coffee County and the surrounding counties. It is significant, all right? It is an important part of our community. It is an important part of our area, all right? But yet, on some level, there remains a bit of a disconnect between the community and the college. Now, I think business and industry understand the significance of that relationship. Certainly, the hospital does, because of the pipeline that the college provides to the hospital in terms of nurses and other healthcare workers, right? But the average person in the community, I don't think, understands the significance of South Georgia State College. I don't think we understand what an important institution it is in terms of the opportunities that it provides to its students. And one of the things that the chancellor said, as you go back to 2010, and I was a full-time employee at South Georgia State College in 2010, I remember this quite well, that we had over 3,300 students on campus at that time, and we did. We had an enormous enrollment. Now we have around 1,800 students. And one of the things that the chancellor wants to know and wants to do is get that number back to 3,300 students. All right. Now, one of the big equations that you have to look at, not just in terms of enrollment, just the gross numbers, but what kinds of students that we have. And by that, I mean, do we have residential students who live at home, commuter students who attend class on campus and then leave and go back home somewhere else? Or do we have students who live on campus? Now, for those of you who may not know, there are two apartment-style dorms. We're not supposed to call them dorms, residence halls on campus. And they were built before consolidation, when South Georgia State College was South Georgia College, and we were the Tigers and not the Hawks. And you have Tiger Village 1 and Tiger Village 2. I believe those names are still used, even though we are the Hawks. But there are about 600 beds between those two dorms, right? So you can have about 600 residential students. In order for the college to be able to cover the expenses associated with those buildings, there needs to be about 400 students in the dorm, so it needs to be about 2/3 full. We don't have nearly 400 residential students. So if we had our enrollment around 1,800, if 400 or 500 or 600 of those were residential students, it wouldn't be quite as bad. But we still need to get those numbers back up. And that was one of the things that the chancellor wanted to do, was to talk to people to find out what we need to do to boost our enrollment. I wonder, we talked a little bit in that meeting, and I was there. We have a video of it. You can scroll down here on the Douglas Now Facebook page and watch the entire meeting if you would like to, the entire discussion with the chancellor. But several people mentioned dual enrollment. Nobody really mentioned this in the meeting, though, because dual enrollment students do count towards the enrollment of the college. So if you got 1,800 students on campus, you do have, that does include the dual enrollment students. But one of the things that I was thinking about is a lot of those kids may not really truly set foot on the campus of South Georgia State College. And I wonder, kids used to graduate and go attend classes on campus. If you can take dual enrollment classes and you can get your associate's degree or pretty close to your full associate's degree by the time you graduate from high school, you're more likely to go straight to a 4-year school as opposed to spending a little more time on the campus of South Georgia State College. So I wonder how that affects enrollment, if at all. It may not, again, because they count those dual enrollment students. But you really need those residential students. You need students in those residence halls to help offset the cost of it. And those dorms are super nice. They are super nice. And of course, in our picture here, we have the chancellor, we have State Representative Angie Osteen, and interim president of the college, Dr. Greg Tanner. And over here in the background, we got a couple of students from CCA. There were several students from CCA and also students from the college who were there. So it's an interesting discussion, and it's something that I do think about quite a bit. And again, you can kind of look at a little bit of that disconnect I was talking about with the story that we talked about to kick off the show, our soccer championship. There were a few people out there at the ballpark or at the ball field on Saturday. We discussed it. We did stories on it. We talked about it. But not a lot of people out there. We ran the story. Not a lot of people read the story. Athletics, you look at the relationship that colleges and universities have with their communities through their athletic programs. All right. And of course, a lot of it is football and basketball, but there are also some schools that are big with baseball. And then if you get down into Florida, you have, again, swimming and soccer and things like that. Do we have that connection with our athletic programs at South Georgia State College? One of the quickest ways to boost enrollment, one of the quickest ways to get new students in is to add sports or to have a robust athletic program all the way through. And it takes money to add programs, but you can't add programs if you don't have the infrastructure to do so, which takes money. So you get into a chicken and egg situation. Do you get the money first, or do you get the program / infrastructure / strategic plans in place, and then you get the money? There is money available, of course, from the Board of Regents to the college, but what we've got to do, I think, first of all, is to get more residential students in here. So, and that's where a community piece comes in. We're not a college town. I'm not quite sure that Douglas and Coffee County will ever be a true college town when you look at somewhere like Athens, maybe even Statesboro, places like that. But what can we do as a community to give this more of a college feel? What could we do as a community to give college kids more to do while they're here? Yes, that would include some nightlife. That might include some other activities that may make people uncomfortable with, bars and restaurants and things like that, that might give kids, the option of staying here on the weekends instead of those residential students leaving and going somewhere else, going to Valdosta, going to Statesboro, going to Athens, going to Jacksonville, going to places like that. So these are all things that we need to talk about. But what made me a little bit nervous, I must confess, was the tone that the chancellor used when he spoke about boosting enrollment. When he said we had 3,300 students in 2010, we have 1,800 students now. And these were the words that he used. He said he used the words accountability. He used the phrase hard discussion. He used that type of terminology as he was talking about why he was here, which means we've got to boost enrollment. We've got to get more students on the campus of South Georgia State College. And it's going to take a community effort. And it's going to take more than just acknowledging that the college is important and the college provides a viable educational alternative. We've got to do something to get these kids here. We've got to have something to offer kids. And you get into, again, a chicken and egg situation where you've got to have some things in place to get the kids, but you can't get the kids if you don't have some things in place. So which comes first? What do you do? So these are all discussions that we need to have. And, I graduated from South Georgia State College in 1993. Took me exactly 2 years to get my associate's degree. Graduated from high school in 1991, graduated from South Georgia State College in 93. Now, the next 2 years took a little bit longer than that to finish, but it was a lot of fun at South Georgia State, and I never felt like, or then South Georgia College, and I never felt like that I lost anything in terms of my education by going to school out there. So again, South Georgia State College is an important asset to our community, to our area, and we need to make sure that it stays that way. Again, Chancellor here this morning, I think it's, a lot of times we have these discussions, we talk about it, we leave feeling pretty good, and then nothing ever happens. The wheels of government move slow. Education is no different. But I think there is a sense of urgency with what we need to do as a community to connect the college with the community and with the high schools in the area, and then outside of the area to get kids to come in. So anyway, that was happening on the campus of South Georgia State College this morning. It was a big deal, and there was a good crowd there. And I remember when Sonny Perdue was running for governor, I remember one a Friday night football game. He came in, first Republican governor, and I don't know how long. It was the 2002 election. I think he was he took over on January 1st, 2003, maybe. He was running against Roy Barnes, and I remember thinking, I think Governor Perdue was a veterinarian, maybe up in Middle Georgia, but he doesn't have a chance. He doesn't stand a chance. Republican doesn't stand a chance here in Georgia. And he won. And if you go back and look, I think the last one-term governor we had was Roy Barnes. But Sonny Perdue has always been in and out of Coffee County a pretty good bit. It was important. Coffee County was important to him when he ran for governor back in 2002. And he has maintained a presence here for over the years in all that he's done. Whether you agree or disagree with his politics, it's always refreshing to see people who have served at the upper levels of government, whether it be state government or federal government. In terms of Chancellor Perdue, it's both. To see him come to rural Georgia and to spend time with us, and he seemed genuinely engaged and genuinely interested in South Georgia State College. So, but again, I think there is a sense of urgency with what we need to do to boost our enrollment. So that was happening this morning. If you rode by the college, you want to know what all the cars were there for. And of course, the chancellor is still there now. So again, we appreciate him coming by. He asked us some hard questions and challenged us as a community. And I hope that we can answer that challenge and get these numbers back up. Let's take a look at our tower cam, which we do or try to do on every show. The last few times we have shown our tower cam, it has been pretty weather and blue skies and what have you. Not so much today. Not so much today. The weather's changing. It's chilly. Gray skies. At least the precipitation has moved off. It was mist and rain this morning. It was one of those nasty, nasty days that we can get. But again, the view here is looking back east towards Douglas, and it's not a very pretty day, but still a good day, and we're glad to be here, and we're glad that you all have watched us here on Douglas Now Live. So once again, trick-or-treating. Actually, what you really do is use this as a way to trick-or-treat Thursday and Friday. You can get 2 days out of it. Your kids can get a pile of candy out of that. Do what you will. Halloween is Friday night. So again, love our folks at the city. Don't like the idea to try to move trick-or-treating to Thursday night, but we shall see what happens. Everybody have a safe week. If there is no breaking news, if there is no significant story between now and Thursday, we will see you again on Thursday morning. If something happens again over the next 24 to 48 hours and we need to be here early, we will. Thank you for watching. You have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. We'll see you next time.